So, February 5th, 1807, you had Zebulon Montgomery Pike. On a Thursday, he ascended a high hill to see all around them. And they was in Conejos County, Sanford. So he's looking at Castilla County, Conejos County, just looking all around. And Zebulon Montgomery Pike, he said this about the San Luis Valley. He saw one of the most sublime and beautiful inland prospects ever presented to the eyes of man, the prairie lying nearly north and south, probably 60 miles by 45 miles. He was talking about how the streams come off the sides of the Sangre de Cristo Mountains, kind of creating islands, little inlet, 100,000-acre islands, also meadowland all over the place, prairie, meadowland, innumerable herds of deer. He saw a shit ton of deer all over the place. And then he's going to go up another hill, and he says that the site that he saw on another hill, this is all about the San Luis Valley. The site combined the sublime with the beautiful. The great and lofty mountains covered with eternal snow seemed to surround the luxuriant vale, crowned with perennial flowers like a terrestrial paradise, shut out from the view of man. So a Garden of Eden, an undiscovered, untapped, and wild Garden of Eden. That's what Zebulon Pike thought of the San Luis Valley. February 6th, Pike is going to kill another deer with great difficulty in bringing it back in whole. When he gets caught, there's only going to be 5 men that's at the stockade. So only 5 men built this 36 by 36. I don't know. Natch, Itoches. He kept telling that the Spanish dragoons. I wonder if I can get dragoon. What's a dragoon? It's supposed to sound like it's a dragon, right? Oh no, it's the Spanish dragoons. Well, what is a dragoon? I think it's just a Spanish soldier, some sort of authoritarian, like the grenadiers. The French have the grenadiers or some shit, some sort of... So, a member of any of the several cavalry regiments in the British Army. So that's not true because it's Spanish. So that's Oxford. So Oxford doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. Coerced somebody into doing something. She was dragooned into helping with the housework. No, again, okay, so originally they're a class of mounted infantry who used horses for mobility but dismounted to fight on foot. From the early 17th century onward, dragoons were increasingly also employed as conventional cavalry trained for combat with swords from horseback. Okay, so it's not British or Spanish. It's just a guy with, a lance and a gun and a horse, and he gets out and he sword fights on foot, right? Hey, I will fight you on foot. You get over here. But then they train them for, swords while they're, which is better. That makes more, why? Limit yourself. So on February 16th, 1807, Zebulon Montgomery Pike is going to come across one of these Spanish dragoons. So he's out and about, right? Conejos County, now you got this damn soldier, this Spanish dragoon on horseback, right, with the lance, and he's like, he wants to... sword fight native. There's also, they called him a civilized native. That's what Zebulon Pike. And then you had a Spanish dragoon and a civilized native. They were spying on us, and it was more than spying. They were tracking them down and chasing them down, but they were being cautious, and so they had this sort of tug of war going back and forth about who was going to approach each other when they, chased them. They ran, but then they turned around and, showed that they got weapons, and then they backed off. So Pike, eventually they got to talking. And Zebulon Pike says, look, here's my stockade. Insisted he was on the Red River, which is in the Louisiana Purchase. Therefore, it's all legal. He's on American territory. And then February 17th, Pike is going to write a letter to the New Mexican Governor Joaquin Allencaster, saying that if he wished to discuss his presence on the frontier, he'd welcome a visit by the governor's emissary. And they're going to send a hell of an emissary. 100 men's going to go out to Zebulon Pike. So instead of just, intruding on their territory, they probably could have just set up, a diplomatic meeting. Oh, I'm on my way, and this is the path that I'm going. So who is Joaquin Allencaster? So he's the governor of New Mexico, Spanish New Mexico, 1804 to 1807 for 3 years. The governors after that's only going to be there there for 1 year and then another year. Only 1 year terms for the governors after Lancaster. So for 3 years, that's remarkable. So Joaquin Lancaster, and he's going to, it's 1807 already, so this is the 3rd year of his 3 years. So he's going to have to deal with this, right? A little crisis, Zebulon Pike crisis. But what was he doing, right? Who the hell is Joaquin Lancaster? Well, he was, one of them damn tax spinning tax liberals, right? Raising the damn tax. He restored the church in Santa Fe. The Spanish and the natives traded with the Comanche, and he tried to stop that, pass measures to stop that. He prohibited the sale of sheep. He prohibited the sale of sheep to the Navajo people. He harvested the grain of the Rio Arriba people in order to sell grain to the Presidio of Santa Fe. So, okay, whatever that means. Midsummer 1806, Lancaster is going to send 500 soldiers to the Missouri River to go find Lewis and Clark. So he didn't even like Lewis and Clark, let alone, this Pike expedition. Lewis and Clark just went north, went to Washington State, Montana, Idaho, Washington State. Meanwhile, Pike goes straight into Spanish territory. And obviously the Spanish never found him, because Lewis and Clark went north. But he sent 500 soldiers, so that was no small matter that Lewis and Clark was crisscrossing the continent. Spain looked at it as they were taking their claim. Wait, we claimed all of this. Now that the damn, Jamestown, that grant was, the Virginia Royal Grant was all of America. So, and who the fuck grants anybody anything? Hey, I'm the king of England, so therefore I grant you the land of America. I'm the king of Spain. I grant you the land of America. Yeah, I bet that, the Arapaho and the Cheyenne and all the rest of them, the Arapaho, Cheyenne, Kiowa, Apache, Comanche, Zuni, Hopi. So it's kind of crazy how this all goes down, right? So he runs into these 2 spies. And February 22, he's working on taking the river into a ditch around his stockade. February 24th, he sees signs of wild horses. He killed a deer, and he walked on the Spanish road, whatever that was. February 26th, 2 Frenchmen arrive. And they said that Governor Lancaster heard that it was the intention of the Utah Indians to attack Pike. So that's sweet, that's nice. 2 Frenchmen arrives on the scene firsthand, and actually I think Zeb Pike knew French, but didn't know any Spanish, which is kind of, remarkable. You're going into Spanish, don't know any, a lick of Spanish. Okay, so 2 Frenchmen arrive on February 26th. This is the same day he's going to get arrested. So this is the ominous sign right here. Anytime you see 2 Frenchmen arrive on your doorstep, watch out, because you're about to get arrested by 100 Spanish conquistador Dragunian sons of bitches. So this makes it sound like it was a good thing, right? So they come across these 2 Frenchmen, and the Frenchman was like, hey, Joaquin Lancaster's got your back. They thought the Utah Indians are about to attack you, so we're here to protect you. And he's like, oh, okay, come on in. And they was like, oh, by the way, you're under arrest. So not the Frenchmen. So they, the Frenchmen talk, and then whatever, they parlay, and then 50 mounted dragoons and 50 armed militiamen are arrested. Zebulon Pike. They're armed with lances, escopades, pistols. So Pike sends out the 2 Frenchmen, right, when the 100 Spaniards are coming to arrest him. He first sends out the 2 Frenchmen. You sons of bitches, you lied. You acted like you were protecting me, but so go out there first. And then Zebulon Pike goes out and confronts the 100 Spanish men armed with only a sword. Just a sword in his sash, right? No guns, no nothing. Zebulon Pike is told he's not on the Red River. It's the Rio del Norte, said the Spanish general. And Zeb Pike is just shocked, just utterly shocked, I tell you. And he orders the American flag to be taken down. What? This ain't the Red River? Well, take that American flag down. The 2 Spanish generals are Don Ignacio Sotelo and Don Bartholomew Fernandez. They had to crawl on their bellies to get into the stockade, which they were astonished at first about, but they entered anyways. So Ignacio and Bartholomew and Zebulon Pike, they were all eating breakfast, eating deer and moose, goose and meal. Some geel and moose, no, some goose and some meal and deer and a biscuit, which the civilized Indian had gave to Pike, one of the first spies, a week ago. So Pike, he's going to pull a fast one. He's going to negotiate to let 2 of his men stay to gather up the remaining frostbitten men, along with Spaniards, to wait for the rescue party's return. So he's going to look at the, 100 men and say, okay, I'll go along with you, but those frostbitten men, and we got to wait for them. And so the main general stays there to wait for the men to come back to make sure there's, no more military advances and some shit, make sure he's not a scouting party. And then Pike goes on down to Santa Fe and then on down to Mexico and writes all about it, and it's a big, call, celebrate. It's, this huge news, right? American, right? Zeb Pike, shit, he's arrested, wasn't doing shit. And Spain and America's not at war for right now. How are you going to treat him? What you going to do? He was there to discover, and, eventually Pike is going to return to America July 1st, 5 months after his capture, when the Spanish escorted him to Fort Claiborne, Louisiana. Which, Louisiana, that's all, he was looking for Natchitoches, Louisiana. That's all, it was very, very far away. It's like you should have turned left at Albuquerque, right? Oh, shit, I'm not in Idaho. I was looking for Connecticut. That's not even like who would even believe that shit? Oh, I was, the Red River? Oh, shit, I thought I was at the Mississippi River. Oh, the Amazon, the Nile, oh, the Pacific Ocean. I thought I was at the Pacific Ocean. Isn't this? So, yeah, while they arrest him, the other men are staying there, probably for military things, just to make sure, knowing other incursions. Had no idea what happened to those other men. But they're going to have to lose a foot, right, or an arm, frostbitten men. They couldn't even move, couldn't even keep walking. So there's some questions. Did Pike have the tools necessary to build his tiny fort at the auction? They're going to auction his stuff 1 year later, 800 miles away. There's no axes or adzes or shovels were sold at Pike's at the Spanish auction, but that's 1 year away, 800 miles. Like, come on. 9 men were left. So I feel like you could fell, haul, hoist, timber, 30-foot timbers, hack a ditch in frozen ground. I would say it's probably in between. It's probably 20 foot by 20 foot is what I would guess. So probably constructed a more modest home. It was all estimates, right? And, men say bigger. Oh, it was like 500 million feet. Last thing I want to mention is the War of 1812. Zebulon Pike is going to die 5 years later. He's only 27. He's going to die at 32 years of age. He was in Canada, right? The whole point of the War of 1812, James Madison and Henry Clay, they wanted America to go in the War of 1812 to, save Canada, liberate Canada from those damn British red-coated imperialists. And we failed. And there was some other shit, impressment on the high seas. But also, stealing all the Native American land, that seems to be, number one priority for all the English, European, Spaniard, Dutch, any of the conquistador sons of bitches, colonizing imperialist sons of bitches that came on over here. Zebulon Pike's going to die in Ontario, Toronto, Canada. Toronto, Ontario. Only 5 years after exploring further southwest than any other Englishman or American had explored previously. Spain was in the south, San Luis Valley in 1694, over 100 years earlier. Zebulon Pike was leading the charge against the British troops in Toronto, and that's why he got struck down. Why did we do the War of 1812? Not only were we going to try to conquer Canada, we'll be greeted as liberators, but also to kill Tecumseh. Tecumseh was killed in the War of 1812, so it's an attack on brown natives in Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, in the Midwest, Iowa, to open it up for the white settlement. It's a terrible war. It ends with the status quo antebellum, meaning relations went back to the same as it was before the war even began, meaning it was without point. And it wasn't War of 1812 1 year, it was War of 1813, 1814, 1815, 3 years it went on. For nothing. Status quo, and mostly Kentuckians died in the War of 1812. So Tecumseh stealing Native American land, trying to steal Canada. from, you know, they love the British up there in Canada. They was like, no, we like our red coat oppressors. We're not going to overthrow them. We like the police and So, yeah, that's Zebulon Pike. Isn't that fantastic? Zebulon Pike, it's only about 30 minutes away. It's in Sanford, Conejos County. It's like the biggest open-air secret around here. Nobody talks about Zebulon Pike Stockade. Fantastic. At the end of his expedition, he builds a stockade on Spanish territory, Native American territory, puts up an American flag, is arrested. He gets to stay there for a month, and he says, this is beautiful, most sublime